We are already up to the Group B playoffs. In 2 weeks, we'll have the Super Six. But let's see who got voted off from Group B tonight on The Masked Dancer. Hey everybody, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It and my Masked Dancer wrap up for the week. Let's talk about it. I do apologize for getting this up much later than usual. I'm a bit under the weather this week, so I didn't actually watch the show last night, but let's dive right into it. Cheryl Hines was your guest panelist tonight on the show. Now, she, of course, is on Ken's show, I Can See Your Voice. She's one of the panelists on that. I feel like maybe she's done The Masked Singer once or twice as well. I feel like usually they all sort of intertwine these shows. So, but either way, she's always good. She has some good ideas. So she was a welcome addition to the panel. The first time they've had a guest panelist actually on the show, which makes sense because I guess in the first couple weeks they had 5 singers, so there wasn't as much time for sort of banter between. But now that they're getting down in the numbers, they have a little more time to kill. So, all right, first up was the Zebra, and he said it's good to be on the big stage again. It was like a business motif type of clue package. He had a placard on his desk that said ZEO, for zebra, whatever, but CEO, so they're thinking some sort of businessman. On the laptop, we saw an ad for Dad's Appliance Shop. There was a UFO in the corner, but the part of the O was like obscured, so it said UFC. There was a bottle of cinnamon. He said childhood was hard. He was surrounded by poverty and crime. We saw a broken record, so we're thinking maybe this is a record breaker. He said mentors and friends got him through. We saw a sword, and we saw some sort of green fish swimming up to his head. I didn't get what any of that meant, and the panel didn't comment on any of that either, but I wrote it down. Maybe I was just seeing things, but I think that's what happened. The song was All My Life by Casey and JoJo, and the word he used was champion. Now, from all the clues last week, I was thinking of Oscar De La Hoya. I still don't hate that guess, but a lot of the clues tonight did not really lead me to that. He's more of a boxer, and I don't think he's done UFC, but I could be wrong. But he could also be some sort of commentator on UFC as well. I don't watch UFC. I don't know really much about the people involved. So some of the guesses from the panel included A-Rod or Floyd Mayweather. Those were both courtesy of Paula. Mario Lopez from Ashley Tisdale. I don't think that's it, girl. And then Tito Ortiz from, I don't know if that was Brian or Cheryl that said that, but the Tito Ortiz guess is not terrible. I don't think the Floyd Mayweather guess is that bad either, but there were so many clues last week of the Oscar variety. There was an OS on a car, Oscar, and then we saw an Oscar Mayer wiener. Well, I mean, I guess it was a hot dog dancing. We don't know if it was an Oscar Mayer hot dog, but that's where my mind went. He certainly has broken records. I don't know anything about the UFC enough to say, but he is certainly a champion. So I am actually going to stick with my Oscar De La Hoya guess. I don't know if the clues this week matched up for that, but I'm going to stick with it. So up next, the Cotton Candy. There was a storybook motif for her, and we saw chapter 1. That's actually the only chapter we saw. I thought there was going to be a whole series of them, but chapter 1, she said, I am used to setbacks. I grew up where life was carefree and simple for everyone but me. She had to balance practice with everything else in her life. She was iced out from kids her own age. We saw a big thing of lipstick that she was sort of leaning on, and then we saw a hawk with an American flag on it, and then she did a peace sign with her fingers. So this could be a peace sign, or it could be the number 2. So, I don't know. And then the song she did was Sour Candy. She danced to that by Lady Gaga and Blackpink, and her word was team player. I think it's interesting. Some of these words are actually 2 words, but all right. Last week I had thought Julianne Hough But with the clues this week, it seems pretty clear this is not um, just a regular dancer, that this is somebody who is probably from an Olympic team or something like that, especially with the iced out character. So on the dancer theme, Jenna Dewan is still coming out of Paula's mouth. But then you've got a couple of skater guesses that I liked more. So Cheryl and Ashley were both thinking Tara Lipinski, and Cheryl even went so far as to say, okay, the lipstick, Lipinski. All right. And then Christy Yamaguchi came from Brian. I don't think either of those are bad guesses. I don't really know. It's funny. I knew a lot about Julianne Hough. Last week we had talked about the English breakfast kind of thing, and she was raised in England when she was a kid. I don't really know much about Tara Lipinski or Christy Yamaguchi, but I think because of the lipstick clue, they seem to be giving us pretty obvious clues about the person's name, which is sort of why I'm sticking with Oscar de la Hoya, too, for the first one. So I think this could be Tara Lipinski. I'm going to go with that for the cotton candy. So up next was Ms. Moth. And so she had a sort of a TED Talk type motif. It was called Moth Talks. She said she never thought she'd be dancing on television once she was a shy caterpillar, but she's very confident now. And we saw the word metamorphosis with EAS, sort of capitalized and in red letters. So we're thinking that's some sort of clue. We saw Queen Elizabeth there, and then she said she does not want to let her dramatic past define her future. We saw a newspaper headline that says "Survivor Speaks," and then we also saw on the big board "Be Yourself" with B, Y, and U capitalized and in red. So BYU, they're thinking somebody maybe from Brigham Young. And then we saw dates on a clothesline, so Dateline. And then we also saw some salt shaking, chef sort of, parsing out the salt. The song was Sway by Michael Bublé that she danced to, and her word, again, a two-worder, her word was best seller. So the guesses from the panel included Ken's guess of Carly Kloss, who I guess is part of the Kushner family, so she has some presidential ties, because of course we saw a lot of presidential clues in the first week. Omarosa or Megyn Kelly were talked about by, I feel like maybe Cheryl, and then Elizabeth Smart from Brian Austin Green, Kathy Griffin from Paula, obviously with the, she was sort of basing that off the salt clue, because she's a salty gal, and of course she's been in hot water with the president. And then Elizabeth Hasselbeck was guest as well, of course, from actually Survivor, the show. So that could be Survivor Speaks. So let's keep going with Ms. Moth, because she's actually the one that got voted off. So let's talk about that. And they get to ask questions of the panelists now, or of the dancers now, to give us a little bit more of a clue before they make their final guesses. So Brian's question, I thought they were supposed to ask yes, no questions, but he asked just an open-ended question. He said, how would your friends describe you? And she said, kind, genuine, and caring. Then Cheryl said, are you taller than Ken? And she said yes. Paula said, do you have brown hair? She said no. Ashley asked if she played a musical instrument, which was a yes. And Ken said, have you ever been on stage like this in front of thousands? And she said yes. All right, so Brian's final. They all pretty much stuck with what they were thinking originally, except for Ashley Tisdale. Brian said Elizabeth Smart. Ashley said Jewel. I honestly don't know how she got that, unless maybe Jewel went to Brigham Young. I don't know. Cheryl thought it was Megyn Kelly still. Kim went with Carly Kloss, and Paula went with Kathy Griffin. Now, before the reveal, I looked up about 4 of these people that I thought maybe it was, and I just looked up BYU and the person's name, and Omarosa didn't go there, Megyn Kelly didn't go there, Monica Lewinsky didn't go there, and Kathy Griffin didn't go there. So I was like, all right, I don't think I'm going to get this. Last week I was thinking Monica Lewinsky. I definitely do not think it is her anymore from these clues. Well, of course I know it's not now, but once these clues this week were given, I did not think it was Monica Lewinsky anymore. But gun to my head, I don't know. Maybe Omarosa. Megyn Kelly's blonde, so it wouldn't be her. I really was at a loss for this one, and unfortunately, I don't know enough really about the person who it was to be able to say it. But Brian Austin Green nailed it. It was Elizabeth Smart. I wouldn't have even thought of that. She's such a serious person, and she's done a lot of good, in this world for, children and stuff. But it didn't even occur to me. Brian Austin Green seemed pretty sure. I was like, I don't know. Turns out she is a graduate of BYU, so that makes sense. The EAS that they highlighted in Metamorphosis, that's her initials. Also, her initials showed up in the first week. The box that said clothes, where cloth was highlighted, or highlighted. I don't know what the past tense would be, but it turns out the ES in clothes is the part where we're supposed to look at. Again, Elizabeth Smart's initials. Of course, a lot of stuff with the president, and I think the picture of Queen Elizabeth, they didn't say this on the show, but I think the picture of Queen Elizabeth was because her name is Elizabeth. It's possible that she has met Queen Elizabeth, I don't know, but they didn't really talk about that. But yeah, turns out I am now 1 for 3 this season. I figured out Bill Nye last week, but the first week Ice-T, no clue. This week Elizabeth Smart, no clue. So there you go. All right, so let's keep it going, wrap it up with the Sloth. And last week my guest for the Sloth was Matthew Morrison. So there was a sports theme at the beginning of the package. We saw a soccer ball, a baseball bat, a few sports-themed things. He said he moved to a place with a new language when he was young and did not fit in. We saw a boombox over his head, like Say Anything style. He said he had a rep as a bad boy, but took a chance, and it worked out for him. We saw one of the those movie theater like clacker boards with the number 18 on it, and then a pink book that said "I Heart You," the letter U. The song he danced to was "Up Where We Belong," and his word was "leading man." Again with the 2 words, "leading man," and the dance specifically, they're really sort of incorporating a second person in with a lot of these dances. He did a ribbon dance, and he did it very well, and the panel was all very impressed with that, which led one panelist to think it was Will Ferrell, because he actually did the ribbon dance in Old School. I think that was Ashley Tisdale that said that. Cheryl was thinking Keegan-Michael Key, and Ken thought Jonathan Groff from Hamilton. I didn't think the Jonathan Groff guess was that bad. Will Ferrell, I don't know. I don't think most of the clues from last week really match up with Will Ferrell. I really don't know. Leading man certainly would be more Will Ferrell than a lot of these other people we've seen. I mean, my guess, Matthew Morrison, I don't know if I'd consider him a leading man. I mean, I guess he was the leading man in Glee, but, other than that, I don't know. But you know what? Look, we don't have to think about the Sloth this week. And my brain is just mush. So I'm just going to stick with Matthew Morrison. It's probably wrong. So please let me know in the comments what you guys think of this, and where my head is at. I don't know. I think Will Ferrell's too famous for this show. Although, he's the kind of person that I could see doing something like this. Like, even though he is a huge star, he does seem to kind of have fun and go off the beaten path, and I don't know. I could see him doing it. Will Ferrell's very tall. I don't think the Sloth is quite as tall as Will Ferrell, although he does stand up pretty well with Craig Robinson, and Craig is tall as well. So, I don't know. Could be, but I'm going to stick with Matthew Morrison. All right, that is it. Like I said, I was going to kind of make it short this week, just because I'm a little under the weather. So those are my guesses. Please subscribe below if you have not yet. Please comment below too, because my brain is just turned off. So let me know. I think some of my guesses are probably wrong. I still like my Oscar De La Hoya guess, though. They're doing a lot of name-specific things in the clue package, so I think it's Oscar De La Hoya. For that, but everybody else I just am sort of up in the air with. But anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.